Did you know that in 2021, the VA funded over $150 billion in home loans for purchases for veterans and their families? That's a staggering number. And yet, there are so many people who qualify for a VA loan that don't know it, don't know what a VA loan is, how it works, and are giving up a very easy possibility of buying a home. I'm Ron Evans. I'm a real estate broker here in Orange County, California, and today I thought I'd come to you with a video helping to explain what a VA loan is from my perspective. I'm not a lender, but I am a broker and I am very experienced at working with VA clients. And hopefully, I'll answer some questions for you, dispel some myths, and make you more comfortable should you choose a VA loan for your own purchase. Now let's get back to that number. $152,874,681,302 precisely is what was funded by the VA last year, 2021, to help veterans and their families purchase a new home. The overall amount that the VA funded, if you want to talk about cash outs and refis, is over $457 billion. So almost $1 trillion, half $1 trillion in home loans last year. Now, what is a VA loan? In its simplest form, it's basically something that's granted to veterans who have served our country. By the way, if you have served or you are currently serving, thank you so much for your service. I am a proud son of a World War II Navy veteran. Yes, I am that old. A lot of times, though, veterans don't even know, and those who have served in getting out of the military don't know what a VA loan is or what their benefit is around that. Simply put, it's given to you because you served, and it is the government insuring a loan for you to buy a house. It's their way of, one of the ways they say, the government says thank you for serving. How it works today is that you pick a house, you still have to qualify by credit and income, but you don't have to put a down payment down. You can finance up to 100% of your purchase, and they have now removed the purchase lending caps. It used to be that depending on where you lived, it would dictate that you could do 100% financing, but only up to so much money on your purchase. So in Orange County at one time, it was $650,000, then it went to $760,000, and then it went up higher and higher, and eventually they just removed the cap. So you could buy $1 million home here in Orange County where I live and go 100% financing. You just have to pay your closing costs and you're in your home. But a lot of veterans and those who've served and their families don't know. Now, who gets this? Who qualifies? You obviously had to have served in the armed forces. You get a special form that shows that you have your VA certificate for a home loan. Also, your spouse or your surviving spouse qualifies. Your children do not qualify, but you, the veteran, and your spouse or your surviving spouse do qualify. Now, how do you obtain a VA loan? Well, it's pretty simple. You want to seek out a lender who either specializes in VA or at least has VA loans in their portfolio. That's the first thing you want to do to find out what the process is and if you're going to qualify. There are different types of VA lenders, just like there are different types of conventional lenders. Sorry, I've got my dog in my lap because she was being needy. This is Piper. Piper, say hi. There's Piper. There are VA broker lenders, meaning they originate the loan, but they still have to go through a different bank. And then there are also VA direct lenders. Now, I choose personally to deal with VA direct lenders here for my clients. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, like everything else they do with direct lending, is when they qualify you, it's pretty much 100% guaranteed that you are going to be able to close on that loan. And number two, they can be maybe more creative with fees and closing costs as a direct lender. So I work with a direct lender personally who will credit as much of their closing costs of a client as possible to make it as easy as possible for that person to get in their home. An example, several years ago, one of my first VA clients qualified for a condo for $425,000. They came to the closing table to sign their paperwork. Their closing costs were $1,800 complete. It's a huge advantage for somebody moving in to know that not only did you get 100% financing on your loan, but you basically came out of pocket for maybe the equivalent of 1 month's rent to move into a home. It's a fantastic experience when you work with the right lender with that. The third reason I work with a direct lender is if they have to, they can table fund, or what's called table fund. And that means when you get right down to the timelines of closing, if things are running really, really tight, or there's a delay at all, but you can't delay the close of escrow, a lot of times a direct lender can just show up and table fund. They don't have to worry about wiring from bank to bank to bank to get your funds available to close an escrow. So now that we know who qualifies and from the lending side how it works, let's talk a little bit about the home buying process when you are a VA client. Now, I am finding this even 9 years into working in real estate and being a broker, that there are a lot of challenges for VA buyers, especially those that if you work with an agent who doesn't understand VA. Educating a seller, educating a listing agent is crucial if they don't understand VA. A lot of people are just afraid of things that they don't know much about, quite frankly. And you might hear that it's really tough for a VA buyer because maybe there's different stipulations on how an appraisal works or an inspection works, different guidelines that a home has to meet. And that part is true. You know, a home, you're not going to buy too many fixer-uppers on a VA. You're not going to buy something that needs to be torn down and rebuilt on a VA loan. But honestly, you're not going to buy that with a lot of different loans, unless it's a hard money loan or you have a huge down payment and the bank feels qualified that you can handle that. If you're FHA or VA or any other type of government-backed loan, the house is going to have to meet some minimum standards for the loan to go through. Now, the government, because you're VA, wants to do everything they can to get you into your home, and they do. They give you larger debt to income ratios, a lot of different things of that nature to make it to where you can financially qualify a lot easier, but the home itself is still going to have to meet some minimum qualifications. So because of that, a lot of sellers and a lot of listing agents get a misconception in their mind about working with a VA buyer or accepting a loan from a VA buyer. And it's kind of unfortunate. I do my best up front to educate my buyer and any other listing agents and sellers that I come in contact with before we even initiate an offer, if we're going to get that far. Because again, the education is key. When I have a listing, I welcome VA buyers because I know that the government wants them to close that loan. You got to work with the timeline, and it might not be the fastest timeline, but I always think of it as slow and steady wins the race. So if you can work with the VA buyer and you can work with their guidelines, you've got almost a 100% surety that the loan is going to close and your home is going to close escrow. The mindset of a VA buyer, because they know that there's a perception of challenges, I find that the mindset of the VA buyer is probably more dedicated. They're going to stick with something because frankly, maybe they feel lucky that they got a seller to accept their loan. So again, you got to educate, and you got to work with an agent that knows what they're doing with this, knows how to educate the seller and the listing agent to get your offer accepted. Now, once your offer is accepted, timelines are going to be not glaringly different versus a conventional loan, but you can't move at lightning speed, like I already mentioned. You're not going to be able to do a short appraisal timeline because the VA works at their pace. So in California, our contract appraisal timeline is 17 days. You're really not going to be able to shorten that to 10 or 12 days like you could with like a regular bank, because the VA is going to take the entire 17 days, I find. Very, very, very rarely will you get an early appraisal. You're not going to be able to do usually a really fast close A direct lender can probably do it in 30 days. If your VA lender is not a direct lender, they are almost assuredly going to ask for a 45-day escrow, kind of like old school escrow that we used to deal with up until a few years ago. Nothing you can do about that part of it. Again, if you can work with a direct lender, you can probably get a 30-day. Maybe occasionally, if the stars align, you can get down into the 20s, maybe 25 days or so. But typically, VA is just not going to move quite that fast. But really, that's the only challenges and limitations I find is with timeline and knowing that the property has to meet some minimum requirements. It can't be a tear down, can't be a complete fixer-upper. But like I said before, other types of loans aren't going to allow that either. What else about VA? Once you close, you are completely dialed in. Now you will have, because it's 100%, it's similar to an FHA loan or even a conventional loan. If you're not putting down 20% or whatever the minimum threshold that the bank has for you, you will have PMI. You will have the mortgage insurance on your loan up until you pay off a certain percentage. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's a trade-off, basically, of being able to finance 100% of your loan. Now, when you get approved for your loan, the lender takes into account the mortgage insurance that's going to be based on what you're approved at and the purchase price that you're looking for. So don't bother yourself too much with it. You can always refinance out of it later if you've paid off enough and your loan to value ratio meets the guidelines to drop the PMI or the mortgage insurance. Look, I know this has been a pretty rudimentary explanation of a VA loan. I really just wanted to introduce it to everybody, go over some basics to make people feel more comfortable with it. I have my dog in my lap. Can't do a whole lot about that right now. She's feeling really needy. But if you have any questions, please reach out to me direct. My number is 949-929-2270. I'm happy to speak to you. Even if you choose to not work with me to represent you, I'm happy to give you whatever information I can. You can also email me. My email address is easy, ron@ronevansrealty.com. I'll do what I can for you. I'll put you in contact with, if you're already working with an agent and you're comfortable with the agent, but you want to work with a really good VA lender, I'm happy to recommend the two that I work with the most that are both direct lenders and can do all the things that I'm telling you that you need to look for, that you qualify for with your VA. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to, please subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on everything that I post here. I do a lot of different real estate news on this channel, as well as keeping up with the housing market in Orange County. And I'm going to be starting to a breakdown of different cities in Orange County as well, not just the county as a whole. So stay tuned, subscribe, come back again, please. And again, if you served or are serving currently for our country, thank you so much for your service. I'd love to support you. Take care.